You're hooked, aren't you? Scrolling, fapping, smoking, drinking, gambling. Whatever it is, it's got you by the throat, and you hate yourself for it. You tell yourself, this is the last time. But it never is. You're stuck in a loop. Day after day, digging yourself deeper into a pit you swore you'd climb out of. But let me hit you with some hard truth. No one is coming to save you. Your friends, they're either enabling you or too scared to call you out. Your family, they've probably given up on the lectures. And you're still making excuses, blaming stress, boredom, or whatever else lets you sleep at night. But let's cut the crap. You don't need another pity party. What you need is to take control. Because that addiction you're holding on to, it's controlling you. And the longer you wait, the deeper it sinks its claws. So, the question is, are you ready to fight back? To stop being a slave to your own weaknesses? Because in this video, I'm going to show you how to quit any addiction, once and for all. Let's get started. Step 1. Understand what addiction really is. Let's stop pretending here. Addiction isn't just some bad habit you can laugh off. It's control. Pure and simple. Addiction is when something external owns your thoughts, your decisions, and your actions. It's not just about the thing itself. It's about the fact that it's calling the shots. And let me guess, you probably tell yourself the same thing every time. It's not a big deal. I can stop anytime I want. Oh, really? Then why haven't you? Why are you still reaching for your phone every 5 minutes like it's a life support machine? Why do you light that cigarette or crack open that bottle when you're stressed? Because you're not in control. The addiction is. And the worst part, deep down, you know it. Let's be real for a second. That quick dopamine hit you're chasing. The rush you get when you fap, smoke, drink, or binge. It's fake. It's temporary. And as soon as it's over, you feel worse than before. But what do? You go back for more, hoping it'll somehow fix the problem it created. It's a vicious cycle, and it's designed to keep you stuck. That addiction doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about your goals, your health, or your relationships. All it cares about is keeping you weak, distracted, and dependent. And you're letting it win. Here's where most people mess up. They downplay it. It's just a little habit. I'll quit after this week. You know what that is? Denial. Straight up lying to yourself. Because if it were that easy to quit, you'd already be done. But you're not. And the reason why is simple. You're still making excuses. You're still holding on to the illusion that you're in control. That you've got time to fix it later. Newsflash. The longer you wait, the harder it gets. This thing has its hooks in you. And every day you ignore it, those hooks sink deeper. But here's the good news. You're not powerless. The first step to quitting any addiction isn't some magic trick or life hack. It's honesty. Brutal, uncomfortable honesty. Admit that this thing has a grip on you. Stop pretending you're in control. Stop saying, just one more time. Stop thinking you can do it alone without effort. Recognize that you've been giving your power away. And now it's time to take it back. No one's coming to save you. This is your fight. And it starts with owning up to the fact that you've let this thing rule your life for too long. Step 2. The root of addiction. What are you running from? Here's the thing. Addiction isn't the problem. Yeah, you heard me right. The addiction itself is just the symptom. The real problem? It's the hole you're trying to fill. Because let's face it, you're not just smoking, scrolling, or binging for fun. You're doing it to escape something. Stress, boredom, loneliness, failure, rejection. Whatever it is, it's eating you alive, and instead of facing it head on, you're numbing yourself with whatever's easiest to reach. Think about it. That scroll through Instagram isn't just entertainment. It's a distraction from the fact that you're unhappy with your own life. That drink after work isn't just a way to unwind. It's a crutch because you don't know how to deal with stress like a man. That late night binge on junk food, it's comfort because you're too afraid to confront whatever's making you miserable. And don't think you're fooling anyone, least of all yourself. But let me tell you something, and this is going to sting. Numbing the pain doesn't make it go away. It just buries it. And the longer you bury it, the bigger it grows. Whatever you're running from, it's still there, waiting for you. And it's not going to magically disappear because you had another drink, or another hit, or another hour of mindless scrolling. You're just giving it more power over you. This is why most people fail to break free. They focus on the addiction itself, thinking if they just stop drinking, smoking, or scrolling, everything will be fine. But that's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg. The addiction isn't the disease, it's the symptom. The real disease is whatever you're trying to avoid. And if you don't deal with that, you'll just trade one addiction for another. Quit smoking? Now you're overeating. Delete social media? Now you're drowning yourself in Netflix. The cycle never ends until you address the root cause. So here's the tough love reality. It's time to stop running. Look that pain, that fear, that stress dead in the eye and deal with it. What are you avoiding? What are you afraid to feel? Because until you answer that, you're not breaking free of anything. You're just changing the flavor of your chains. Face the root of your problem, and the addiction loses its power. And trust me, you're stronger than whatever you're running from. You just have to stop running long enough to realize it. Step 3. Take back control. Build discipline, not motivation. Now that you know what you're running from, it's time to talk about how you fight back. And no, the answer isn't motivation. Forget motivation. Motivation is a scam. It's unreliable, it's fleeting, and it'll leave you hanging the moment things get tough. You don't need motivation to quit an addiction. What you need is discipline. Discipline is what shows up when motivation disappears. Discipline is what keeps you going, even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is the weapon you'll use to take your life back. But let me be real with you. Discipline isn't sexy. It's not flashy. It's not the kind of thing that gives you an instant dopamine hit. In fact, it's boring. It's uncomfortable. And that's exactly why it works. Because discipline isn't about how you feel. It's about what you do, consistently, over time, until it becomes a part of who you are. Discipline says, I don't care if I feel like it today. I'm doing it anyway. Here's how you start. First, identify your triggers. What's the thing that sets you off, that makes you reach for the lotion, the drink, the cigarette, or whatever your crutch is? Maybe it's stress, boredom, or that feeling of failure creeping up on you. Whatever it is, you need to recognize it. Because once you know your triggers, you can start to dismantle them. You can interrupt the pattern before it takes over. Second, replace the habit. Quitting cold turkey is great in theory, but in reality, it's brutal. You don't just stop an addiction. You replace it with something stronger, something better. You're not scrolling aimlessly? Good. Read a book instead. You're not binging on junk food? Great. Hit the gym and burn off that frustration. Replacing the bad with the good isn't just about distraction. It's about transformation. It's about creating habits that actually serve you instead of controlling you. And here's the hardest part: consistency. This isn't about making a change for a week or two. This is about showing up every single day, even when it sucks, even when it's hard, even when every cell in your body is screaming to give in. Because discipline isn't built overnight. It's built in the moments when you want to quit, but don't. It's built in the small, unglamorous choices you make every single day. Every time you choose discipline over addiction, you're reclaiming a piece of yourself. And over time, those pieces add up. You start to feel stronger, more in control, more alive. The addiction doesn't own you anymore. You own yourself. But it starts with the decision to stop relying on motivation and start building unshakable discipline. So ask yourself, are you ready to make that decision today? Because if you are, the transformation starts now. Part 4. Build an environment that supports you. Here's the thing about willpower. It's limited. You can't rely on it to carry you through every battle with addiction. That's why your environment is so important. If you're constantly surrounded by triggers, temptations, and reminders of your addiction, you're setting yourself up to fail. You can't out-discipline a bad environment, no matter how strong you think you are. So, what's the solution? You build an environment that works for you, not against you.
1. Remove the triggers. If your addiction is tied to social media, delete the apps. If it's alcohol, get it out of the house. If it's junk food, stop buying it. And don't tell me, oh, I can just keep it around and not touch it. That's a lie you tell yourself to feel in control, but you're not. If it's there, you'll eventually cave. And if your struggle is fapping, let's talk about that directly. First off, stop making it easy for yourself. You know exactly what your triggers are. Your phone, your laptop, late night boredom. So, here's the move. Block access. Install apps or extensions that restrict adult content. Put your phone across the room at night. Don't give yourself easy access to the material that fuels the habit.
Next, disrupt the routine. Most people who fap do it out of boredom, stress, or loneliness. If you keep sitting in your room, scrolling aimlessly, or lying in bed with nothing to do, guess what's going to happen? Replace that dead time with something productive. Go for a walk, hit the gym, read a book, hell, pick up a new skill. The goal isn't just to avoid fapping. It's to fill that time with something that actually benefits you. 2. Surround yourself with accountability. And no, I'm not talking about those friends who just nod along when you say you're trying to quit. I'm talking about people who will call you out when you slip up. People who actually care about your growth, not your comfort. If you don't have people like that in your life, find them. Join a group, hire a coach, or just tell someone you trust to keep you in check. Accountability isn't weakness. It's one of the strongest tools you can use to break free. 3. Fill your space with things that reinforce your goals. If you're trying to quit scrolling, put a book next to your bed instead of your phone. If you're trying to quit binge eating, stock your fridge with healthy options. If you're quitting smoking, keep reminders of why you're doing it in plain sight. A picture of your family, a note to yourself, whatever keeps you focused. When your environment aligns with your goals, success becomes the default, not the exception. And let's not forget the importance of routine. Chaos breeds addiction. The more unstructured your life is, the easier it is to fall back into old habits. So create a routine that supports your growth. Wake up at the same time every day. Plan your meals. Schedule your workouts. Structure your downtime. The more intentional you are with your time, the less room addiction has to creep back in. Your environment is either your ally or your enemy. It's either pushing you forward or pulling you back. So take a good, hard look at the space you're living in and ask yourself, is this environment helping me become the person I want to be? If the answer is no, then it's time to make some changes. Because breaking free from addiction isn't just about willpower. It's about creating a life where addiction doesn't stand a chance. Step 4. Commit to the fight every day. Here's the reality. Quitting any addiction isn't a one-time decision. It's not something you wake up one morning and suddenly conquer forever. It's a fight, a daily fight. And some days, you're going to feel like you're losing. But that's okay, because this isn't about being perfect. It's about progress. It's about showing up every single day, ready to fight for the life you want. And the more you fight, the stronger you get. There will be setbacks. You'll have moments where the temptation feels overwhelming, where you slip up and think, maybe I'm just not strong enough. But let me tell you something. Every great comeback story is built on setbacks. Falling down doesn't define you. Getting back up does. So when you mess up, don't waste time beating yourself up. Own it, learn from it, and get back to work. And remember, This fight isn't just about breaking free from addiction. It's about reclaiming your life. Every time you say no to that habit, you're saying yes to yourself. Yes to your goals, your growth, your potential. Yes to being the man who's in control of his life instead of being controlled by a crutch. And let me tell you, there's nothing more powerful than a man who's in control of himself. So, here's the challenge. Commit to the fight. Every day, make the decision to show up, to push forward, to be better than you were yesterday. It's not going to be easy, but nothing worth having ever is. And if you're ready to take that first step, stick around. Because this isn't just a video. It's a blueprint for becoming the strongest, most unstoppable version of yourself. Drop a comment below and tell me, what's the addiction you're ready to destroy today? And if you're serious about leveling up, hit that subscribe button and join the School of Hard Knocks, where we don't just talk about change, we make it happen.